One Zambia, one nation. Good evening and welcome to the main news on ZNBC. To present the news, my name is Nabwalia Vlahakis and my sign language interpreter is Isabel Banda. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Edgar Lungu appeals to all Zambians to act responsibly and avoid reckless statements that can undermine the country's peace and stability. The Higher Education Authority overturns the decision by the Health Professions Council of Zambia to withdraw 3 health-related programs at the Copperbelt University Michael's Chilufyasata School of Medicine. The Zambia Revenue Authority intercepts a truck loaded with smuggled chicken pieces at Katimamulilo border in Sesheke, Western Province. In other news, the Zambia Pool Union says it has plans to incorporate a women's league in next season's Spice 8 and Blackpool leagues. We now have the news in detail. President Edgar Lungu has appealed to all Zambians to act responsibly and avoid reckless statements that can undermine the country's peace and stability. The president says Zambia has a well-established reputation of hospitality and friendly people, a rare trait which all Zambians must utilize to advance new investments. He has stressed that no one has the right to single out any nationality and set the population against them. The president said this when he officially opened the Nilkanth Sarova Premier Hotel in Lusaka today. Sharon Kunda reports.
As Zambia's tourism sector records growth, the question of bed spaces has still been a challenge. It is now apparent the private sector is responding to the challenge. President Edgar Lungu has inaugurated the Nilkanth Sarova Premier Hotel in Lusaka. This facility is an all-suite hotel, the first of its kind in the country.
This hotel is a milestone in the creation of quality accommodation for tourists and citizens. The opening of this hotel is a clear example of private sector commitment towards the fulfillment of government's tourism policy and in achieving our Vision 2030.
And President Lungu said Zambia prides itself in peace and stability.
The tourism industry depends very much on peace and stability, a very delicate commodity which luckily we have in abundance here in Zambia. As president, my primary job is to protect life and property, and I therefore appeal to all citizens to act responsibly.
Nilkanth Group Zambia chairperson Subhash Patel said the company is keen on growing its interests.
It is worth noting that your policies in Zambia has brought us to these investments, and the kind of conducive business approach by your government has made us what we are today in Zambia.
Tourism Minister Charles Banda said the launch of Sarova Premier is in response to the conducive environment and government's call to diversify the country's economy.
The tourism sector holds the potential to be a major contributor to socio-economic development as an important source of jobs, wealth and competitiveness, particularly in the country's rural areas, and holds major linkages to various other sectors of the economy.
Lusaka Province Minister Boman Lusambo welcomed the investment as it has created jobs in the city. Sharon Kunda, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
And on a sad note, President Lungu has expressed deepest sympathies on the demise of Diana Vene Jongo, who was chieftainess Jongo of the Tonga people of Monza district in Southern Province. The president is also saddened by the passing away of United Party for National Development UPND Sesheke Member of Parliament Frank Okufuakwandi, who passed away in South Africa, where he was undergoing specialist treatment. In his message of condolences on the death of Chieftainess Jongo, the president says the passing away of the chieftainess is a great loss to the people of Monze district and the entire nation, and acknowledges her contribution to her chiefdom and the nation. The president says he learnt with deep sorrow of the death of Chieftainess Jongo, who passed away on 8th November 2018 at the age of 68 following an illness. The president has wished the bereaved family and the entire chiefdom God's fortitude. Meanwhile, the president says he deeply regrets the death of the UPND Sesheke Member of Parliament. The president notes with deep sorrow that the nation has lost a valuable member of parliament who made significant contributions to the National Assembly. He has conveyed his sincere condolences to Mr. Okufuakwandi's spouse and family, Speaker of the National Assembly and the United Party for National Development. This is according to a statement released to ZNBC News by Special Assistant to the President for Press and Public Relations, Amos Chanda. And Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya says government evacuated Mr. Okufuakwandi to South Africa last month, where he was receiving specialist treatment in Johannesburg. Government says civil servants who were recently fired for theft of government money from the accounts units of the Ministry of General Education and Infrastructure Development are free to go to court and contest the action taken against them. Deputy Secretary to the Cabinet, Christopher Mvunga, says government is on firm grounds regarding the action it took to fire the erring civil servants and is ready to defend its position. Mr. Mvunga says the amended Public Financial Act gives powers to the Secretary to the Treasury to fire or discipline any civil servant who will be found to have misappropriated, stolen, or engaged in any financial irregularities, irrespective of their position in government. In other news, the Public Accounts Committee PAC today sent away Lusaka Province Permanent Secretary Charles Sipanje for submitting incomplete documents before it. PAC Chairperson Howard Kunda further warned controlling officers due to appear before him to adequately prepare necessary documents. The decision to send away Mr. Sipanje and his team was arrived at after an adjournment of more than 20 minutes. The move came halfway through Mr. Sipanje's responses to audit queries raised in the Auditor General's report. Mr. Sipanje informed the committee that disciplinary measures have been taken against officers involved in various misappropriation, misapplication and irregular payments. He said those who misconducted themselves have either been fired or suspended. Vice President Inonge Winner has cautioned people in Western Province not to be deceived by the opposition political parties regarding the rolling out of the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP. Mrs. Winner says government is on course with the program and that all farmers who have paid the 400 kwacha subscription for the program and those who did not receive last year but paid will also receive inputs this year. She was speaking on arrival in Lungu, Western Province, where she is on a 2-day working visit. Zanis reports that the ZAF aircraft carrying Mrs. Winner touched down at Lungu Airport at 15:35 hours. The Vice President was received by Western Province Permanent Secretary Sibanze Simujoba, senior government and party officials. While in the province, the Vice President will hand over an ambulance at Moya Health Center in Nalolo District and inspect developmental projects in Kaoma District, among other things. The Higher Education Authority, HEA, has overturned the decision by the Health Professions Council of Zambia, HPCZ, to withdraw 3 health-related programs at the Copperbelt University Michael Chilufya Sata School of Medicine in Ndola. This was for failure to comply with standards. But HPCZ Registrar and Chief Executive Officer Aaron Mujajati says the Higher Education Authority has no powers to overturn its decisions. Higher Education Authority Director General Stephen Simokanga has directed CBU to continue running the 3 medical courses following the preliminary findings of the audit that indicated that the learning programs had areas that needed improvement. Professor Simokanga says following the findings, the authority began a process of guiding CBU in thoroughly addressing the learning programmers' deficiencies within 1 year. He, however, says the shortcomings do not warrant the closure of Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery and Bachelor of Dental Surgery learning programs. Professor Simokanga said this in a statement issued to ZNBC News in Lusaka today. But Dr. Mujajati has told ZNBC News that HPCZ will engage the Attorney General's office for interpretation of the laws governing the 2 institutions. He stressed that what the HPCZ did is within the law and the decision to withdraw the 3 programs will not be reversed. Construction works at Mporokoso Trades Training Institute in Northern Province have stalled. The institute, which has been constructed at a cost of about 36 million kwacha, was supposed to be completed in 2016. Details are in this report.
She is on a mission to check on the construction of trade institutes and universities in Northern Province. Higher Education Minister Professor Nkanduluo has however found that works at Mporokoso Trade Institutes have stalled. The contractor T&H Eminence Limited was not on site when the minister visited the project. But at the first ever university in Northern Province, the picture was different.
We are ntashabo tulefwaya. Wakutuletere skulu pakutia bana tabale yokutali balesa mbirira fe mupepi. So ichi chintu chikankala sana.
Bakafundishanga balifunda bana be skulu. Kuti bakwata amano mu skulu nokubapela fimbi fyalekanalekana mu mito yabo ng'obulimi bwa agriculture no kuteka enkoko no kuteka imbushina ngunkumba.
Professor Luo is expectant that most jobs will be given to the local people, which will boost economic activities in the area. So far, at least more than 40 jobs for the locals have been created at this stage.
I have said, can they give these jobs to locals? I've told them. We can't have the same Chinese building, the same ones being the ones who provide sand, no.
Building an Okada of education citizens starts with building infrastructure and making them viable to the masses. Cindy Mulamba, ZNBC News in Northern Province.
Government has given a 2-month ultimatum to Hansa Timber and Mining Contractors Factory in Manyinga District, Northwestern Province, to set up a tree nursery. Lands and Natural Resources Minister Jean Kapata says failure by the company to comply with the directive will result in its timber concession license being revoked. She was speaking when she toured Hansa Timber and Mining Contractors Factory in Manyinga District. Details in this report.
It is the only nursery on trees that Hansa Timber and Mining Contractors Factory has planted in Manyinga District. This is against these timber logs. The company has a 5-year timber concession license expected to expire in 2022. This has not pleased Minister of Lands Jean Kapata. She has issued a 2-month ultimatum for the company to improve this tree nursery.
I'm a little disappointed with them in the sense that they are supposed to plant nurseries so that we have seedlings. You can see the nursery we've just seen. You can't equate it to the number of trees that are lying in this yard which they've cut.
She has also disclosed that these companies will soon have to pay back 10% of their profits to the community.
Value addition, they can make furniture, they can make school desks. Government is looking for Zambian companies that can make desks. And the Minister of Education would buy desks from them. So for me, I think it's to encourage them to do more.
Hansa Timber and Mining Contractors who has employed about 120 workers, says it will comply.
We will not go against the government directive. We are law-abiding citizens, and I'm actually a law-abiding citizen, and we are going to do as directed.
Minister of Lands Gina Kapata has been in Mfumbwe, Zambezi, Solwezi and Manyinga districts, checking on forestry activities. Patricia Banda, ZNBC News, Northwestern Province.
This is the TV1 main news. We now take our first break. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the news. The Economics Association of Zambia, EAZ, says the listing of public-owned enterprises on the stock market gives an opportunity to Zambians to own a stake in local companies. EAZ President Lubinda Habazoka said this to ZNBC News in Lusaka today. Dr. Habazoka says in the case of Zafico, a lot of jobs will be saved. He says if Zafico is going to be listed, Zambians, especially the employees of the company, should be given priority to own shares.
There are a lot of methods of reducing a stake in government property, and one of them is listing it on the stock market, and listing shares of a state-owned enterprise is merely offloading shares on the stock market to be purchased by people you don't know, but mostly stock market participants. So in the case of Zafico, when the Zambian government announces that they are going to list the shares of Zafico but keep the majority shareholding, what that means that certain percentage of Zafico shares are going to be made available to citizens to purchase through the Lusaka Stock Exchange.
Meanwhile, the Zambia Direct Democracy Movement, ZDDM, has called on Zambia Information and Communications Technology sector to find means of curbing fake news on social media. ZDDM President Edwin Sakala says there is need for authorities to intervene and find a solution to the problem following the increase in fake news and politics of hate on social media. Mr. Sakala has proposed that sector and the police should work closely and monitor social media as a way of putting an end to fake news. And Mr. Sakala has urged the Independent Broadcasting Authority, IBA, to sanction radio and television stations that broadcast unsubstantiated claims. He told ZNBC News that broadcasting unverified and untruthful statements can plunge the country into chaos. The Patriotic Front PF says Zambia needs various tools such as infrastructure development for the country to achieve goals enshrined in the Vision 2030. PF Secretary General Davis Mwila says according to the party's comprehensive manifesto, infrastructure development is critical to achieve Zambia's objective of becoming a prosperous middle-income country by the year 2030. Mr. Mwila also says all-weather roads, access schools and hospitals, international standard airports, maritime transport systems and social housing are instrumental in bringing positive changes in the lives of people in society. He says other factors that impact positively on people's lives are rural and urban electrification systems and portable drinkable water services. Mr. Mwila says the PF government, spearheaded by late President Michael Sata and incumbent President Edgar Lungu, remains resolute to deliver infrastructure development as a means of bringing about inclusive economic growth and development. This is contained in a statement released to ZNBC News in Lusaka today. Aspiring candidate for the PF Lusaka Province Chairperson seat, Kennedy Kamba, has urged councillors across the country to heed President Edgar Lungu's call for unity. Mr. Kamba says it is unity and hard work that will help the PF to retain power in 2021. And another aspiring candidate, Emmanuel Chilubanama, says he will introduce empowerment programs for party youths and women. Mr. Chilubanama says he will help in making PF attractive so that people can vote for President Lungu in 2021. Meanwhile, Geoffrey Jumbwe, who is also vying the seat, has promised to make the party strong in Lusaka province. Mr. Jumbwe, who is also Chongwe mayor, says he will work with all the party structures to ensure that the PF wins the 2021 elections. And when contacted, Charles Chimombwa, who is also vying for the same position, said he will issue a statement tomorrow.
The district chairman, I'm going to give you a task to make sure that we mobilize more branches in the constituencies. There's no way we can have 9 branches in a constituency of 60,000 voters. I'm not going to allow that. I'm not going to allow that. Masako.
My strongest point regarding, saving my party at provincial level is to run the party at provincial level like a business, using my expertise and experience from the corporate world. Because I realize and know that right now, the burning issues in the party are issues concerning empowerment of youths, empowerment of the women folk, empowerment of each and every one of us. I wish to enhance and synergize the efforts my party is making.
Police in Lungu say they are ready to maintain law and order ahead of the forthcoming council chairperson by-election in the newly created Lupososhi district. The by-election is scheduled for November 20th. Lungu officer in charge, Machila Mwene, says the officers in the district are ready to man the polling stations. Etambuyu Katota reports.
This police post is serving people in Lunte, Lungu and Lupososhi districts. However, the station only has 24 officers maintaining law and order. But for the officer in charge, Machila Mwene, the police officers are ready to police the November 20th Lupososhi chairperson by-election.
So far so good, we are managing, and even the by-election, which is to take place on 20th, we are on top of things.
Mr. Mwene also wants government to consider giving the police post an upgrade.
Now, require to increase the manpower for us to be able to police the district effectively.
And Minister of Housing and Infrastructure Development, Ronald Chitotela, made an assurance that government will address these challenges.
The men and women in uniform in a way should also have access to the decent accommodation that we are putting up for our men and women in uniform. So those two issues, I can assure you, we will pursue them actively as government.
Earlier, the minister held a public meeting in Mwando village and at Nsombo Secondary School to drum up support for PF aspiring Lupososhi Council Chairperson John Kwandangala. Etambuyu Katota, ZNBC News, Lungu District.
Thank you for watching ZNBC. We now take another break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We now continue with the main news. The Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA has intercepted a truck loaded with smuggled chicken pieces at Katimamulilo border in Sesheke, Western Province. ZRA Corporate Communications Manager Dropsisi Kalinda says the chicken pieces are worth 260,000 kwacha in taxes. Mr. Sikalinda says the consignment was declared as transit goods going to a neighboring country when in fact not, but destined for Zambia. He says the chicken pieces and the truck have been seized on grounds of forced declaration and forgery, contrary to the Customs and Excise Act. Mr. Sikalinda has told journalists today that investigations have so far revealed that a named company has been smuggling meat products into the country using transit fraud.
The intercepted chicken pieces are worth 260,000 in terms of taxes. There is precedence of traders during this festive period to make sure that they evade the taxes by smuggling in various items. Facts of the matter are that the consignment was declared as a transit good going to the neighboring country when in fact the consignment was actually destined for Lusaka. The chicken pieces and the truck have since been seized on grounds of false declaration and forgery, contrary to Section 141, Cap 322 of the Customs and Excise Act. Our investigations have so far revealed that this particular company has been smuggling meat products into the country using transit fraud.
Top Star Vice President Cliff Sichone says the company has made progress in taking digital terrestrial television network to all parts of the country. Speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka today, Mr. Sichone expressed confidence that the company will reach 1 million decoder owners by the end of this year. He says Top Star currently has the widest terrestrial television coverage on the pay TV market, as well as offering countrywide satellite TV signal. And the firm has come up with a Christmas promotion which has come with a price cut to decoders and bonus viewing for subscribers. Mr. Sichone explains that during the promotion period, the DTT decoder will be priced at 109 kwacha, down from 149.
We've decided to drop our price for the period starting from today until 15th January 2019 on the hardware. Our current price for our DTH decoder, together with the satellite dish and all the accessories, is at 299 kwacha, and we've decided to drop it to 249 kwacha, inclusive of 1 month free subscription on the Super Bouquet. We've also done the same on the DTT decoder, where we've dropped the price from the market price of 149 to 109 kwacha, all in the hope that we can ensure that as many households as possible get access to affordable but quality TV.
We now take our final commercial break. Brian Mulamba will come through with sports news when we return.
Time for sports now with me, Brian Mulamba, and coming up, Micho Canoe team emerges champions of this year's Siyavonga Canoe Challenge, which was hosted on Lake Kariba. Details are coming up shortly. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Brian Mulamba. The Zambia Pool Union says it has plans to incorporate a women's league in next season's Spice 8 and Black Pool leagues. Union General Secretary Tesfa Shikombwe says the women's league needs to be extended to other parts of the country. Here's a report.
The 2018 Pool League is coming to an end with some exciting fixtures. Over the weekend, the biggest fixture of the season saw Spice take on Sharks at Spice Restaurant, much to the delight of spectators. Zambia Pool Union General Secretary Tesfa Shinkombwe hinted at better things to come in next year's Pool League.
We'd like to incorporate our ladies, but obviously that is subject to being discussed with other teams. So hopefully we can change the format of the season to make it more competitive, as our counterparts in Madalas and in Ndola have done.
Shinkombwe also congratulated some billiards that were awarded for their performances in the 2018 season during the awards giving ceremony. Wilson Mulinda, ZNBC Sports, Lusaka.
Micho Canoe team emerged champions of this year's Siyavonga Canoe Challenge, which was hosted on Lake Kariba. Team Micho, who completed the 5-kilometer water race in 2 hours, relegated Simuswama Canoe team to the second slot, while Simujala finished third and Kanyelele were fourth. Kevin Kasama has more in the following report.
Hundreds of Siyavonga residents thronged the lake shore of Kariba Dam to watch the 2018 canoe race, which was flagged off at Freshview Homes. This was the 10th edition of the annual Siyavonga Canoe Challenge, attracting 13 teams drawn from local fishermen and paddlers. Following 2 hours of non-stop water action, Micho Canoe team emerged champions of this year's Siyavonga Canoe Challenge. Speaking through an interpreter, Chief Smamba urged the canoe race organizers to add more activity next year, like swimming and speedboat races.
You should begin now to identify communities and adopt projects
we should benefit the bigger population and not a few individuals. I want to challenge Freshview Homes to come and tell me a project being undertaken in the needy communities.
And Zambia Police Marine Unit Deputy Officer in charge elaborated some water safety tips and objectives.
Don't operate or paddle a boat under the influence of alcohol. Avoid getting in water when it's dark, unless when using a navigation light.
From Lake Kariba, this is Kelvin Kasama reporting.
Thank you very much, Kelvin, and that's about all we had for you in our sports segment. Now Wally has a recap of your headlines. Good night.
Stories making headlines as we end the news. President Edgar Lungu appeals to all Zambians to act responsibly and avoid reckless statements that can undermine the country's peace and stability. The Higher Education Authority overturns the decision by the Health Professions Council of Zambia to withdraw 3 health-related programs at the Copperbelt University Michael Chilufya-Sata School of Medicine. The Zambia Revenue Authority intercepts a truck loaded with smuggled chicken pieces at Katimamulilo border in Sosheke, Western Province. In sports news, the Zambia Pool Union says it has plans to incorporate a women's league in next season's Spice 8 and Blackpool leagues. Well, that's it for the news. Thank you so much for your time. Be sure to join us for more news at 22 hours. My name is Nawala Vlahakis. God bless and pleasant viewing.